Alright, what is up, gals and gamers? We got a new chapter of One Piece that I will read to you quietly so as not to wake or inadvertently spoil my sleeping boyfriend in the room over. This is chapter 1158, titled Rocks versus Herald. Now, it's kind of amazing to me that, we knew who Rocks was before this flashback, but we had never seen him before. We didn't know him from Adam. All of his coolness and all of our curiosity about his strength has really just been solidified and come out a lot more strongly during this flashback. Likewise, Harold, we had a sense of who he was from the start of Elbaf, but again, pretty much all of his aura accumulation has been in this flashback, and yet, even just in the course of this flashback, which has been, I don't know, like 10 chapters long at most right now, I am so hyped by this chapter title that's just Rocks versus Harold. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that just a sign of Oda's power? To establish these characters in reputation and then in deed, to see them firsthand for even just this limited amount of time, and to present the idea of them fighting each other as so monumental, as so thought-provoking. But who's gonna win, who's gonna lose, I have no idea. It's very ambiguous which of these two is actually stronger. It's also kind of ambiguous how this will play out in terms of the remainder of the flashback. We know that Rocks is doing this, Harold is trying to kill Rocks upon the request of the world government to allow Elbaf to become a member country. We know that doesn't really work out in the long run. We're not really sure what goes wrong, but it could be that he fails to kill Rocks. We also know that Rocks was, at least on the record, defeated by Garp and Roger teaming up. Could it be that it was actually Garp, Roger, and Harold needed to team up to take down Rocks? I don't know. It's still kind of unclear, the ordering in which all these things happen. So yeah, this is very up in the air, which I think is also something very exciting about it. Let's plunge ahead with the chapter itself. The cover page, Yamato marking a grave to Kozuki Moria. Well, that's a little confusing. So the Kozuki family is related, of course, to Zoro and Zoro's sensei, and that an old samurai sailed away from Wano and made it to the island where Zoro lives, right? That part was always a little confusing to me because some of it was explained in SBS and stuff. But the Moria given name is extra. But I think Gecko Moria, his name is not spelled the same. I don't think there's any relation there. But then, of course, Moria does have a connection to Wano, insofar as he got his hands on the corpse of Ryuma, and alongside it, the legendary Black Blade of Wano. So, I don't know. The point is, there probably is no point, and this is just a little Easter egg for the very eagle-eyed and eagle-brained readers, of which I am on the lower edge. Maybe I'll read some One Piece wiki and see if I can figure out exactly what this means. Okay. Meanwhile, Captain Roger is pouting that Shaki has abandoned being a pirate, and therefore their paths will not cross on the seas. Now we know where to find her. Let's go check her out. That pirate island is under Rocks' control. And there's, of course, Scopper. And Raleigh, yeah. Right after you two had that conversation in the captain's cabin. It was nothing. I'm going to tell anyone about this, but I'll make a special exception for you, Roger. Shaki ailing from some kind of illness. This is great. The overwhelming seductive power of Saki applying to literally everybody besides Raleigh. Because he's gay? No, I don't know. Just one guess. What's funny is that he claims, I just don't want to be tied down. And then very much you see this dynamic has continued into the modern day where Raleigh is just sort of trapezing around the world as he pleases, but pops up in Shaki's bar occasionally, and she's like, "What the hell have you been up to, old man? Where have you been? What have you been doing?" Not admitting defeat yet. All right. So, some interesting members of the Rogers crew. You know, in the past, the first times we saw Rogers' crew in the flashback with like Shanks and Buggy and stuff, very nondescript, random-ass pirates, and then slowly they've been kind of plucked out and characterized and made into proper people with names and backstories and stuff. And I feel like these iterations of Rogers' crew that we see pop up occasionally in this flashback and in the Odin flashback are now getting fleshed out even further. Like, now Oda is realizing, hey, this is not just random background pirates. These are members of the most legendary pirate crew of all time. I probably should give some thought into who they are and what they look like and what their powers are. Because who knows how fleshed out they'll need to be ultimately. I don't even think Oda knows. But look at this guy with the big nose. Speaking of nose. Okay. So yes, he gets all riled up, and then this is what leads him into confrontation with Rocks, I guess. Like, direct confrontation. Is for the love, or at least lust, of this woman, Shaki. Okay, he has a cook named Marks. That's awesome. Based leftist Oda clocking in again. Okay, meanwhile, slightly earlier in time, Sacred Marijois. So this is Garling, of course, who just became one of the 5 elders. And here we're talking about God Valley. This is the setup to the human catching tournament at God Valley that ultimately involves Kuma and Impero Ivakanov. Okay, yes. I found something preposterous there. Now that might either be like the Buccaneer bloodline, or it could be the legendary dragon devil fruit that we know makes an appearance and is claimed by Kaido during the kerfuffle at God Valley, right? I'm pretty sure. And is resulting in some bad blood between Big Mom and Kaido. So there's all these little sprinklings of foreshadowing, or the opposite of foreshadowing, I guess, past shadowing, that Oda has sprinkled into little conversations and stuff all throughout the series that are now kind of like all getting collected up into the depiction of the actual event itself. Okay, so now we're at Pirate Island. Came all the way here from North Blue. Here you got great whiskey here. Everyone says your stew is the best. I don't cook for the likes of you. So they're making simmered beans and serving cheap rum, but all these lovesick pirates think it's the high-end whiskey and the most wonderful homemade stew. This abysmal service. Seems so fulfilled. I didn't know anybody who might have lost interest in me. Big Mom. Right. So dense. It's not just a woman. That's the face of a new father. Oh, so Blackbeard has been born. Which makes sense chronologically, because Blackbeard's like in his 40s. And then here, of course, the Roger pirates burst into the scene. Raleigh not anywhere to be seen. Okay, so yeah, the Shaki Bar proves to be a neutral ground, I guess, between all these visiting pirate crews. A DMZ of sorts, a demilitarized zone. I like that Roger, sort of like Luffy, like, I like that his personality isn't just the same as Luffy's. Luffy would never behave like this. Roger is much more of a horn dog, but he's like similar in Luffy in a lot of ways. His kind of like silliness, his unassuming strength, his total zest of life and obsession with freedom and just doing what he wants at all times. Definitely overlap. and this what line comment feels very Luffy-esque in a way. Not that I think Luffy would necessarily beat up all those people, but he might beat up all those people on the way to meat or something. You know, Roger's lust for women and Luffy's insatiable appetite, kind of a parallel. Whitebeard heads out. Resting on the ship, said he wasn't feeling good. And then Gloriosa, of course, has joined up as well. This absurd love triangle, which I never thought would be part of the plot. Although they did make reference, and again, this is just Oda always needing to pay off these little setups, that Shaki was like the biggest heartbreaker of all time in her era. And all this calamity around former pirate empresses abandoning the throne to go chase a man was brought up when, of course, Boa falls in love with Luffy in a similar way. So, you know, they eventually maybe thought they needed to pay this off, but let me tell you, Oda, you did not actually really need to pay that off. It's kind of funny that we get this sort of plot line. Oh yeah, so Roger, right from the jump, is a fan of Whitebeard. I was just reading a little ahead of what I'm commenting on, and the scene where it seems that Raleigh is peeing off the back of the Oro Jackson, where you can see the big egg. The big egg is present. What is inside the big egg? We want to know. And then Shaki sees him peeing and passes out. Is that what's going on here? This is just so absurd and silly. Any visitor bar forbidden from fighting on the island. So even when rival pirates crossed path there, no warfare resulted. But at sea, it was a different story. Ooh, and then we see... even though he's frowning at the top of this page, the Roger scowling at the bottom of this page is very different. The aura has been cranked up. Okay. And here, suddenly, we leap into the titular battle between Harold and Rox. I guess this happens the next time that Rox visits Elbaf with his persistent petition for Harold to join his crew. Which again really makes me think that Loki is going to join Luffy, because they need a contrasting parallel, right? Harold, the father, constantly courted by Rox for his nefarious schemes. Luffy, the counterpoint of Rox in the more modern era, the opposing figure, successfully courting the son, Loki, for his ultimately heroic deeds. This is all... It's like poetry, you know, it rhymes. We gotta keep it moving in lockstep couplets. Awesome shot here. They're insanely powerful attacks ricocheting. So important, you'd kill your own friend to make it happen. You're just falling into line, they're using you and you don't even realize it. I gotta say, I'm enjoying this flashback. But the way that Oda is prioritizing his storytelling here is so crazy that it's like, okay, so the Herald receives this information, agonizes over it, and ultimately decides, yes, I am going to fight Rox to the death, because I believe that's what's best for my country. Not depicted. We just jump straight into the fight. The love triangle between Roger, Raleigh, Shaki, Rox. It's not a triangle anymore. It's some insane polygon. And Gloriosa. That requires plenty of exposition and elaboration and depiction. I guess he wants to have kind of like contrasting elements in terms of tone in this flashback. We get some silly scenes, we get some funny scenes, we get some character exposition around this weird obsessive lovesickness around Shaki. You don't really want your characters to be too cool. This is kind of a rule of thumb in One Piece. Everybody's got to have foibles. Everybody's got to have silly moments, which I think is great. I think that's one of the reasons the series has persisted so long and remained popular for so long, is Oda's eagerness to do that. But this really is quite an insane contrast that we go from this absurd joke of Shaki passing out watching Raleigh pee. And then 3 panels later, ba-bam! Anyways, yes. So Rox is actually like totally in the right here. He's completely accurately assessed what the world government is trying to do and just trying to make the giants into tools. This is their answer. They only see you as a kind of military force to be harnessed. They'll turn you into slaves and call you soldiers. Exactly. Where's your warrior's pride gone? What does your own free will say? Don't like you understand any of that. History of violence from when we called ourselves warriors. Nothing but a shackle that weighs Elbaf down. Now we seek the way of peace. So he's not wrong, but he just is way too naive about the world government. And his naiveness has persisted, even though, just as Rox is saying, they're like, oh, you'd want to live in peace with the rest of us? Okay, kill this guy. Because you're really strong, we want you to kill this guy. And it's like, bro, that's all they're going to ask you to do. You think this is the only guy they're going to have you kill? They want your ludicrous strength. Yeah. These very moving, tiny little flashbacks of Harold's servitude to the little people, trying to change their history of violence. How foolish and impetuous the celestial dragons may be, they have the power to usher Elbaf into the circle of the world. We will no longer be on the outside. Like, yes, but that's not what they're gonna do, man. They're just gonna use you as weapons. They're gonna break the stick and make you weaponized and attack people. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Y'all seen that movie? I saw that movie. Attack giants. They're gonna do that. They got all sorts of tricky witchcraft shit too. Talks are off. I'm never inviting you again. Okay, so the battle rages on. They could not see eye to eye. The odd little friendship between them came to an end. For the time being, they met no longer. Until the day of that faithful incident. Okay, so this is interesting. Harold obviously wants to fulfill this ask and kill Rox and be ushered in. But he's not, like, chasing Rox across the ocean. This is just the end of Rox visiting Elbaf. Loki hanging out, waiting for Rox, of course. Aw, this is a cute little moment. He wants a juice after all. Very good, very good. And then here it is, God Valley. Okay. Oh my god. Now we got this going on too. This is crazy. And there's Shanks's mom, some red-headed woman, not showing her face and making reference to the color of her hair and making reference to her quality of wisdom, to me suggests that this is actually someone kind of important who's going to have a bigger role in the story. And it's also clear to me that she is not affiliated with the World Nobles or anything. She's just chilling down here on God Island with the Columners. She's like a native of God Island. Maybe she has the Buccaneer bloodline or something. And Shanks and Shamrock have that too. Who knows? Who knows? Could be a lot of things. I guess they said that the Buccaneers were like big and brawny, like Kuma was. So maybe not, because those dudes are pretty slender. This is a crazy thought. We still don't know who Nami's parents are. We just know that Nami was found on a battlefield. A battlefield, perhaps, like God Valley. Nah. I'm not proposing that exactly. And she's got more like orange hair. And not red hair. No, that makes no sense. That makes no sense at all. I'm just... Sometimes when you start cooking, you just grab an ingredients, you know? You just fling open the fridge. Oh shit, what's this? Mayonnaise? Oh, that was the wrong ingredient. Oh well, what do? Do you stop cooking? No. You just power through. And that's what it's like coming up with whack-ass theories live on camera. Reading a chapter for the first time. Anyways, I do still think, though, this is someone notable. I don't know how or what. Is this yet another Black Door flashback? The Rock's flashback is actually the backdoor flashback to Shanks. Because, like, kind of, yes, it has to be. We know that in the aftermath of God Valley, Shamrock is going to go off with Garland, and Shanks is going to go off with Roger's crew. But we also know that, like, these are the names given to them. So somehow they're going to learn these names. You know, it's not like the babies are going to say, hey, these are our names. And the God Valley incident is happening in like a year, or it's happening now. I can't keep track of how many years ago all these flashbacks are. So there's got to be something pretty substantial that happens before all the fighting breaks out that establishes to these captains who these babies are. You know what I'm saying? It probably involves this woman. And there's a lot of shit that's going to go down at God Valley, man. For years and years, they've kind of built up this one incident, the God Valley incident, and we are on the verge of seeing it, which is very exciting. Very exciting, folks. I can't believe that we're actually going to get a third backdoor flashback and learn the life of Shanks. Will Buggy show up too? When does Buggy join the crew? I actually have no idea. I don't know if that's ever been implied. But they were there both as kids, you know. But I guess Shanks was there since he was a baby, probably, and Buggy came along as a little brat. But we will answer some of these questions, at least, probably, in a week. I will see you then. If you've enjoyed this, I never make this ask, but I've been trying to get better about it because I figured why the hell not? It is fun to see numbers go up. It's fun to see comments and stuff. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really am curious about what other One Piece readers that come to my channel and listen to me think about the series. I don't want to read comments in a lot of places because people have horrible takes. But I am curious. If you've watched this, you've earned the right to share your opinion, I guess is what I'm saying. And give it a like, give it a subscribe, share it with your friends. Say, hey, this YouTuber has been predicting what the One Piece is for like over a year now. And it makes a lot of sense to me. And check it out, because in like 10 years or whatever, when we find out what the One Piece is, I think it's a big drain that drains the oceans. You can be early. You can be early on the correct prediction, because I'm vowing. I believe it. Okay. See ya. Goodbye.